Hello YouTube world, Guten Morgen, wie geht's? My name is Monica Liana and you're with Books and Beauty with Monica, where I talk about books while doing my makeup. So this is going to be the third part of the series I was kind of doing for Valentine's Day, which is like, first was the rom-com books, and then the next one was the romance but with some steam, and this ones are going to be basically eroticas. I don't think they're necessarily labeled as eroticas, I'm not quite sure, but there's a lot of sex, a lot of taboo, age gap, slight wondering if there is consent, submissive. There's plenty of BDSM books on here. So just so you know, this is an X-rated book selection because you get a lot of detail in these. These are not talking about my sex. It's like, no, we're talking about cunts. So if you're a little shy, you know, this may not be the video for you, but if you like a little extra steam in your books, I got some recommendations for you. So let's get started. So we're gonna talk about Voyeur by Fiona Cole first. This one is about a very unique sex club. So this club called Voyeur, you can do it's like cam in real life. So you recommend something. So if you want the girl to masturbate in front of you, if you want it to be a gangbang, you want a shower scene, you can request it in the person you want it to be done. They don't have to approve because some people just, you know, if they don't want to do it, it's really up to them. But if they are willing to do it, they'll do it kind of on a stage while a couple or a person is watching. And it's behind a screen glass, so you can't actually touch the model, so everything's very safe. But it makes it where, you know, you can have a viewing with your pleasure and stuff like that. So there's a girl that does this job, and there's a guy that requests her, and he requests kind of simple stuff. Like he just requests, like, you know, I just want you to masturbate and not even show me anything, just like under the blanket type of situation. And you find out why he is the way that he is, why he likes to watch versus do. And come to find out, it's her professor because she's going to college. And it's a little awkward because it's like, oh, I'm now teaching a girl that I like lust after at Voyeur, and then he's like, man, now I can't go to Voyeur because I'm gonna feel so bad like lusting after my student. And he goes from there. So, you know, sex club, teacher, we got all of it. The next one is called Liar by Fiona Cole. This one, it's kind of a break off from Voyeur. Voyeur, I would say, is the main one, and then Liar is basically about a girl who messes with the uncle's best friend, that they're co-owners of Voyeur. So she messes with the uncle's best friend, and age gap, because I think she's like 19, 20, something like that, and he's like 40 something. He's kind of a playboy, of course, because they all are. And they had like a one-night stand, and they didn't know that each other were like, that they shouldn't have, basically. So it's kind of awkward when they finally figure out like, oh shit, you're my best friend's like niece, and we could never do this again. But yet they get put in a position where they're around each other a lot. And of course, you know, things happen, but then they have to sneak around because if, you know, the uncle found out, he would kill her, you know, kill him. And she doesn't want the uncle to find out because she's like, the uncle is the only person that really sees her in a really great way. And she's like, I don't want him to not see me in that way. So there's that. And then Teacher by Fiona Cole is another kind of breakaway. This one is about the uncle, the one that owns Voyeur. This one is about an uncle, and he helps a girl. Like, trigger warning, this one does have sex trafficking and rape in it because the girl, she was kidnapped as a kid with her sister when they were young. And basically she can't be touched. Like she can't deal with being touched. So she goes to voyeur to try to overcome it. She's like, maybe if I see it, I can overcome it. And this guy, the uncle, basically is like, I will help you. Like, he's just like, I'll be in the room with you. And she like ends up appreciating, like, yeah, like, be in the room with me. So if I start to panic, you can help me. So that's what he does. And then of course, you know, things start to happen. He then becomes like her sex trial person of like, okay, I can kind of touch, you understand, so if we have to stop, we can stop. And like, that's what it is. And that's why it's called the teacher, because he helps her out and teaches her how to do some stuff. So Dark Notes by Pam Goodwin. This one is BDSM. It is an age gap. It is a teacher student situation, because, and this one is dark. So I would 100%, if you got a problem with like hearing about rape and, like I said, age gap and non-consent and stuff like that, be warned. So this girl, she's a very good piano student. She goes to the school for like gifted like musicians or something like that. And the reason she's going to the school is because her dad, who is now deceased, basically made it where like his money went to her going to the school. And her family, like her mom with her brother, they live like in a trailer park. And they actually hate her in a way, because they're like, he didn't give us no money and he put all the money for you to go to this fucking school. And they like hate her because of that, because they're like, why did you get treated so well? Like, we're trying to struggle, like we're struggling out here, and you're sitting here getting to go to the school. Well, she has a rough life because everybody at the school is mean to her because she ain't got no money, and basically calls her a whore, even though she hasn't done anything, but they call her a whore anyways. And she's like one of the best students, but since she has, like, you know, she is poor, she doesn't have the latest clothes and everything like that, she gets treated like shit. And she doesn't understand consent. Like, she has been raped multiple times, and she's gotten to a point where she doesn't understand the difference between having sex consently and just being raped. Like, she doesn't understand it. And this teacher comes around, who's the new like piano teacher or something like that, and he ends up taking a liking to her. Don't mind the dogs. He ends up taking a liking to her and kind of finds this shit out, and like teaches her like there's a difference between consensual sex and rape. And he ends up getting into a relationship with her, but he does it in a way with BDSM. So they do a lot of like rope play and stuff like that, but he basically is telling her, like, you know, if you don't ever want to do this, you just say the safe word, like you're in control of this as much as I am, like you, and everything like that. So it's a really good message. He does help her and stuff like that, and he like really thinks highly of her, which he's like the only one since her dad died that actually does. So it's really cute, but it's like, yeah, it is very taboo because he is technically sleeping with one of his students and stuff like that. And like, I think she may be 17 or 8. She may be 18. But like, it's like towing that line of like, yeah, it's not professional, but like he is technically the only one that's like looking out for her. Like, he sees that like she's a lot better of a person than everybody thinks that she is, because like everybody at school calls her a whore and everything, and she's not doing anything. But that's how shit goes sometimes. The next one is Misbehaved by Charlie Rose. Oh, I'm gonna say that wrong. Charlene Rose. And this one is kind of like Dark Notes. It doesn't have anything to do with like music, but it's the same thing of like a teacher gets with a student, And this one is slightly different because the student is the aggressor. So, Dark Notes, the student was not the aggressor. She just kind of like got in, like, you know, he saw her and like seeked her out. Versus Misbehaved, she goes after the teacher and he tries to resist and then eventually doesn't resist anymore. But it's the same concept of like, she goes to school, she lives in a trailer park with her mom and I think brother too, and he ends up kind of saving her because he sees where she lives, because he drops her off at one point. He sees where she lives and he's like, you're gonna come home with me, like I'm not gonna drop you off here and stuff like that. Definitely because I think the brother was having like some type of drug deal going on when they were pulling up, and he's like, no, you're not gonna be part of this. So he ends up like saving her type of thing. So, but this is another teacher age gap. This one I think she is 17. Like I think the other one she was 18. This one I think she is 17. So like a little bit, you know, towing that line, but you know, another, like I don't think this one was BDSM. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It was just more of a age gap taboo type of situation. The next one is Arrogant Bastard by Winter Rinshaw. There's 3 of them. I'm going to talk about all 3 of them because there's 3 in a series. And I didn't know this at first, but they were all really good. So the first one, the Arrogant Bastard, is about a dude or a boy goes to live with his mom because I guess the parents are divorced. I don't remember what happened to the dad, but he goes to live with the mom, who is now in a polygamous cult. Like she, for some reason, adopted that lifestyle, and he has no place else to go, so like they have to kind of take him in. But it's like a very strict thing of like, you know, you will follow our rules and everything like that. Well, they have, I guess, 3 or 4 like sisters, and these are his stepsisters and not related by blood. But he ends up messing with one of the girls, kind of like teasing her because of course she's pure, she's never had sex, and you know, he's the rough boy who is just biding his time until he can get the hell out of there. Like that's all he is. Like I think he's trying to, like, he wants to be a tattoo artist, and like he just like waiting until he's 18 and then he's gonna go to LA and like start tattooing, because I guess he already has a connection that like soon as he becomes of age he's gonna go over there and start doing it. So he's all set, but he's just biding his time. Well, he starts messing with one of the girls and she tries to stop his advances, but he sees her in the sense of like, you know, this world is not the best, because supposedly this girl was supposed to go to college after she graduated high school, and now her dad's telling her she's not going to go to college and that she's going to get shipped away to go get married, because you know, this is how polygamy works. They just tell you you're going to go get married to this guy that you've never met, and they decide, no, that's not going to happen. Like I'm not going to do that. Why would he lie to me? He told me I can go to college. Now he's reneging and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's kind of what their story, which was really cute because it was kind of a nice cult situation, because I love cult stuff. So it's like a cult romance in a way where they get away. Arrogant Master is, I didn't realize this when I got this book because I read the first one, which thank God I read the first one first. This is the second part with the same family but a different sister. So she gets a job outside of the house. She somehow manages to convince her dad to get a job outside. And the reason she's trying to get a job is because she's trying to get money so her and her sister can get away, because she's the same way. She doesn't want to get married off to some man she doesn't know, and she wants to get away from the lifestyle, but the only way she could do that is if she gets some money. So she starts to she kind of manipulates getting a job, because she gets denied a job. She goes to like a bar, and this guy who ends up being her boss is there, and he's kind of interested in her. And she's like, yeah, you know, I just got a job from so-and-so. And he's like, really? I know so-and-so. Like, you're better off, like, you know, being with me, not with him. And stuff like that. And she's like, oh, really? Like, so what are you going to do about it? He was like, well, I'll offer you the job. And she's like, okay. You know, she ends up, like, taking it. And she does not know what she's agreeing to. She thinks she just got like a secretary job. No. She got a submissive job. Her job is supposed to basically be at his beck and call as a sub at work. So she'll kind of like do a little bit of work, but if he's like, yo, come here, get tied up, and I'm gonna spank you, that's your job, and you're gonna get paid for it. And she doesn't realize this at first. She's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know this was the job. And he's just like, well, didn't you get the job with the other guy? That was the job. And she's like, no, I lied. She was like, I was bluffing and stuff like that. And he's like, oh crap. So they end up deciding like, well, do you still want the job? And she ends up just taking the job because she's like, I really need to get me and my sisters out of there. So she's like, fine, you know what? It'll be okay. I could do this. Like, sure. And this is a dominant BDSM relationship, and it's like hardcore too, because she ends up doing some stuff and he gets really upset and everything, and gives her like a collar, which she gets mad about that. He ends up giving her something else, but like, yeah, this one is a very BDSM master relationship. And like I said, I did not know even like halfway through that like this was the sister. I'm like, oh, it was kind of cool because it like interchanged. And then the next one is playboy, arrogant playboy, which this one has nothing to do with the sister. This one has to do with, there's two boys. So the master, the one in the master, and then the playboy. They're brothers, but not by blood. They're brothers because they also were in a polygamy cult and are like lost boys. So they got kicked out when they were younger. Now they got a lot of money and they do what they want. So like they're brothers in that way. So this one is about his story, and he ends up messing with the marketing lady, and he doesn't know that it was the marketing lady because they like just hired her, and she's the only person that I guess has ever denied him, because they had sex and she was like, okay, good time, deuces. And he is upset because he's like, I've never had it where a lady basically said goodbye to me. Like, I'm usually the one saying goodbye. Like, what is she talking about goodbye? So he's a little bit butthurt, and then they come to find out like they're now working together because she's the marketing person that they just hired for their business. So they end up having to be around each other a lot more. And yeah, so that one is not my favorite between the three. Like, I love the arrogant and the master one way better, but it's a cute like full circle type of situation. The next one is Addicted by Zane. I love this book. They made this one to a movie and it was garbage. Do not watch the movie, it's garbage. But the book is about a lady who has a pretty much perfect life. She got a husband that like absolutely adores her. She has a child. They've known each other since she was like a little kid. Like, they lost their virginity to each other, everything. And you know, she's a very strong black lady, she owns a business, I think an art gallery, and you know, everything is good. But she starts to want a little bit of excitement, and she gets it with two guys and a girl, not at the same time. She just gets it, and she starts having ridiculous amount of sex. Like, there's so much sex going on. Like, she's literally giving like this guy a head in the movie theater, just doing the most, And of course it ends up crumbling after a while. And this book actually has some darkness to it. There's actually a mystery that happens, and that's why I'm so mad at the movie, because the movie cheapened the end. And then also in the movie, you don't even know that she's with the girl. Like, they don't even include that part, which is like, why? But it's, like I said, this is really good. This is my first actual Zane book. Like, I had never read a Zane book, and then I read this one. This was like the first one. I finished this in like 3 days. I could have finished it in a day, but I was traveling. I was in Afghanistan, and I was traveling back to the States, and I didn't want to finish my book so quickly. I was like, damn, I got time. I gotta let this stretch out, but it was really good. And the last one I'm gonna talk about is Credence by Penelope Douglas. I don't know necessarily about this one being an erotica, but I'm gonna include it on this list because a lot of people think this one is very taboo. I actually did a rant video, so if you would like to see that, go look at that video, because I did do a rant in a kind of a breakdown of why I don't think it's as bad as people say. But this one is a taboo, supposedly, situation, because a girl, she comes to live with her non-related uncle. I'm saying that because there is no incest in this. She lives with her uncle and the 2 cousins that she's never met, and the reason she's now living with them is because her parents committed suicide and left her. So she lives with them, and they live all the way up in the mountain in Colorado, and once it gets snowed in, you can't like go down the mountain, up the mountain. So it's like, it's just the 4 of them in this like house for like months, and she ends up getting with like all of them to discover herself. And it's a little graphic. It's not as graphic as these other ones. These other ones are really graphic. Like, I'm talking about like spanking, nipple clamps, age gap, slightly wondering whether or not there is consent at times, freaking moaning, spanking. Like, you're getting really close. Like, you're getting the visuals. Like, you're getting to the point where it's like, yo, get it out of my face. It's so close to my face. Like, you're getting all those. So this one is like actually tame. I would say the only thing that's like makes it slightly more risque is because she does get with all 3 of them. So it makes it a little bit like extra. But other than that, it's like, I don't consider this one as bad. But like I said, I did do a whole rant video, so if you'd like to see that, go ahead. Anyways, these are the book recommendations. And then I also have one more book. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have one more book. This is my random book that I've been putting at the end of every video. And the one that I'm going to recommend for this one is The Girl in 6E. And also the sequel, which is Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb by A.R. Terry. And the reason I'm recommending this one is because it's about a cam girl, and she talks about all her cam girl stuff. This one is technically erotica thriller, and there is a mystery in both of these, and it is okay. Like, the mystery part is okay. I'm not really reading these books for the mystery. I'm reading it for the cam stuff, and I absolutely loved it because it was so funny. It was so funny to hear all about the cam stuff and the cam world and all the crap she has to go through with these dudes. And it was just, I had a good time. So if you ever want to know kind of the world of camming with a little bit of mystery on the side, because it is technically a thriller, I recommend these books. I don't recommend the 3rd one. There is a 3rd one. 3rd one has nothing to do with camming. It's just her and like a mystery. And I don't care about the mystery. To me, I'm like, give me the cam stuff. I want to hear about dudes getting off, even though you're sitting here making yourself come, just making it up, and these dudes are giving you a bunch of monies for my. I fucking had a giggle fest, and like, I could be messed up, but I'm just saying, I was giggling listening to her camming and stuff like that. But anyways, I hope you like these. Hope you read like one of them. or if you read one of them, like and subscribe. I'm now going to wash this off and go to the gym. Tschüss. Goodbye. See you next time.